Alright, get ready guys, it's our last game of the day and it will be a good one. Serfslayer versus Pond Guard. This may very well have been CBL finals or a court tournament final or any other final back in the day when these two teams were at their prime. Like two legacy teams currently trying to fight for second place in the Seabee Rivals. Serfslayer also still in court tournament this Friday against Kebabs, and they will definitely be looking to end strong this season to contest plebs once again in the following season. So let's find out what's going to happen in this one. Combs, what are you expecting for this? Bands being Falconetti and Chevaliers, just as a reminder.
A slaughterfest.
Slaughterfest. I love
No,
it.
honestly, I'm curious to see because we've seen today, right? Same map, a lot of matches, but still every team does it a little bit different. Some run more infantry, some do cav heavy, some run chevaliers that may or may not have worked out. Everyone does it differently, so I'm, as always, just curious to see. Okay, how will Slayers go about this map? How will they do their defense? Because how will they do their attack? Because this map, in my opinion, is very defense favored in this meta, at least with the
Yeah.
Cav. So how did they plan to deal with that?
Yeah, that's something that I'm also very curious. Like you said, the A defense seems to be really strong, especially if you're a team that is called No Beaches, with a strategy that is yet to be named. But also the defense on the ground seems to be really strong for many reasons. The final is, we haven't seen that many fights at the final actually. It's all been resolving around that A and B point, right?
Yeah, we've only seen one defense. I
Yeah.
think. Oh, I forgot who it was. Against the Plebs versus Argonauts.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because Plebs won that attack, but yeah.
But yeah, I think we've mostly seen like B fights and then just stayed onto capital, right? Or not being able to attack it.
Yeah,
But yeah, about the tactic that is unnamed, I suggest they call it breached or beached, as in the ship is beached and they cannot move again. I don't know.
good suggestion. Let's see if
I'll take it up with them, you know.
let's see if Matchin will put it in the straw poll for for the name
Yes.
that we gave it. Make sure to send it to him. He might get it in there. Will be good. All right. So let's see if Pondguard will choose the beached strategy as well. We're just gonna try it out now. We'll see if it works. But yeah, it's going to be good. So just so you know, guys, Pondguard, especially with Farfu, and I'm waiting to see him in the lobby again. Pine has always been back, of course, this season, but also all the other big names from Pondguard from their past season have been rejoining, and they're slowly trying to build up the team, like we heard today a couple of times from the other team captains as well. Serfslayer on the other side, still with a strong core from the team that they had when they were winning CBL, the last CBL that has been played. We've yet to wait and find out if another, of course, is going to be there, but we'll see. Anyway, but yeah, Warfarfu is here in the lobby now as well, so that's will be really good. I'm going to show you guys the lobby as well because teams are almost ready.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
There they are.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah, so Warfarfu actually doing really good last week. That's why I was mentioning him. He was playing the longbows. Bondguard had a really good strategy to play from the wall on White Oak Fort and try and destroy plebs. But in the end, it didn't really work out that well. So we'll have to wait and see what they bring today.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, I'm just curious to see if he brings out the longbows again, right? Let's make it his special Warfarfu on the longbows. No, but also this guy, you need to be careful of these guys because we've seen him with the flamers, right? He was wrecking everything with his flamers. So I think, especially this map, it's quite a bit like White Elk. Just especially, yeah. Let's see what they're bringing. Let's see what strategy they have. We've seen it last week. They're coming into this game with a plan. Let's see what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know that I know that Serfslayer love to play the Cav, which Chevalier is not being strong anymore. Falconati band. We still have all of the other Cav units, and of course the anti-Cav units still up on the table. Bondguard, they've got a couple of players that like to play Cav, but Bondguard are really well known for their like 15v15 brawl battle, you could say. They really know how to fight well grouped together. I'm really looking forward to see what units they bring to reinforce that. Alright, teams are ready. We're gonna start. It is final match of the day. Game 1, Serfslayer on the attack, Bondegard on the defense in the blue. And Bens are Falconetti Gunners from Serfslayer and Chevaliers from Bondegard. I'm ready for this one. I hope everyone in chat is as well. Let us know who you think is gonna win. Will be Serfslayer, will be Bondegard. Just spam it in the chat and we'll find out if you're right after it. And let's go.
I am hyped. Let's go.
Yes. What will it be? Alright, looking at Warfarfu, no longbow so far, but we do see a lot of Sekali militia here. A lot of infantry. I feel like we might be seeing a 15v15 force from Bondegard on the walls.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. I mean, how many caps do you have? One?
Oh yeah.
I think.
Oh, this might be really rough. I mean, if I look at Serfslayer right now, I see a lot of cav, even some like Tinjek with double cav and Sons of Fenrir. So they're gonna have to force the gate open, albeit with anything really. The heroes or the trebuchets, anything they can use to break open the gate, they're gonna need it.
Yeah, and I mean, they just they have one good push on the wall, right? Everyone has a single infantry, some has multiple, but they're running so heavy cav, and it's gonna be, if they fail that first attempt, it's gonna be very hard for them to go again, you know?
Exactly, and they don't even have that many specialists. They have one Flamer, one Shenji, so that's going to be tricky. And of course, double Zekalian, so that will be very helpful. Hopefully, in the wall, if they can get them in position. But we saw from the beaches strategy that it wasn't that easy to get your Zekalian in position on the attack.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, Bondegard is bringing so many Flamers, so many Shenjis, Zekalian as well, and Imperial Shields. And we've seen it last game, right? We've seen how much damage those units can take and hold the enemy off. So yeah, and again, running with the javelins, SKW.
Yeah, Bondegard are known to scrape out like a couple of wins with the javelins, playing really well with them, getting those couple of kills at the end, and then just getting a small advantage through that. Alright, here it is, guys. It's the final match of today. Game 1 is underway. Serfslayer on the red, Bondegard on the blue. Hidden City.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see.
How will Serfslayer adapt once they see that Bondegard is going full infantry?
Yeah.
That is the question, right?
It is. I'm gonna, now that I look at this map, I really have enjoyed the matches we've had today. Like you said, every single match has been different.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen a lot of nice tactics, a lot of different things happen, some nice flanks. It's been an exciting day today.
Quite so.
I mean, we've seen a lot of muskets at the moment trying to destroy artillery.
Yeah, they're just going one by one, making sure that all the cannons are down. We've seen this a couple times from different teams. It's quite effective.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm curious to see what they're switching onto. Like after they're done with their muskets, are they sticking to it? Will they go to pike, to spear?
Exactly.
We saw last game.
Yeah, we can see Pipo on the longbow. He's normally on the dual blades, but switch to longbow just for this specific threat in mind, making sure that these Martelatory are not able to push the battering ram. And this is clearly something teams have been scrimming, right? Almost all teams have been doing this exact same thing.
Yeah, definitely. We just have to see how they're gonna go about this Serfslayer.
Yeah. And I did like the adaptation. Oh, we see someone accidentally jumping down. Got King Asura. Ooh, nice footwork
Was
there.
it an accident or was it?
Oh, yeah. Who knows? I know he's down now, that's for sure. That was an accident. Alright, so bring up the units as well. Yeah, so strong units here from Bondegard. Serfslayer just jumping on the wall right away. They wanna get something here. Ooh, nice jump on the Shenji here. Let's see if they can get a couple of them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think they got some. Let's check out the units if they did.
That's one. That's two. Oh, this trap might be really good. Yeah, this is what I like about Serfslayer. They don't wait around like other teams do. They just go in with the heroes, try and find those specialist units, because quite often you can find a couple of those. Keep an eye out on the units because some of them might go. Alright, this is good, this is good. I like it. Alright, so already Serfslayers inside the city creating havoc.
Yeah, I mean, we have to look out to see how No Beaches is going to respond to this, right? Because Cersei is just going in straight away, putting down traps.
Oh, Dramacide right there, almost. But nice backup.
Nice too.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
Good.
creating chaos, and that is so good at this moment, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like I've yet to find the units that were hurt, but there was definitely a couple of units that are being hurt right now. They are trying to heal them back up. C4 on the longsword. And let's see
Get
where
the support
Serfslayer is
points as well.
rotating. Yeah, Serfslayer rotating to the left side this time. Left siege tower. And remember, you said at the start, right? Serfslayer realistically only really have one good push on the wall with the lineup that they have. So,
Yeah, definitely. They're running too much cav, and Bondguard is just counting on it, right? They're defending the walls, full committing, and it's just
oh, that was a good one. And another one hit.
these traps are hitting their target though.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
And this is a good adaptation once again from Serfslayer. I feel like getting the supply inside the city, making sure that if Bondguard go back, they need to get another 20 to 30 seconds just to get this.
Trap on the range units.
Yeah, trap on the Shenji there. Alright, front line going. Shenji bombs are being thrown though. Alright, nice dodge with the Shenji. They're being moved away, but now they will deal less damage.
Flamers are a bit back though. Need to
Oh
get
yeah,
it.
oh, can Serfslayer get to the Flamers? No, one is down, two is down. Lex still fighting with his Flamers as well in the back, but I believe they are not having that many. No, they're gone.
Seems to me that they can kill.
Yep. Oh, there comes Tinja and Mass Flames though from the back with the Sons of Fenrir. Serfslayer getting through, like you said. They're slowly wiping it out. Bondguard won't have the supply now.
Very nicely done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those Shenjis did so much work there. Those Flamers as well.
Yeah, you can see. Yep.
That trap on the range forced the Shenjis to move after they throw their bombs. I mean, you're losing that insane buff they're getting for that area of attack damage.
Exactly. And you can see, like, there's not that many heroes left or units left. Only 2 or 3 units left here for Serfslayer, but Bondguard won't really be able to get back up there. Pine was trying to hold the A point, but because Bondguard took 10 to 20 seconds longer to get new reinforcements from that supply because it was captured by Serfslayer, they're not able to get back on the point. One short sword desperately trying to get there. 2 short swords already on point. Alright, this is good for Bondguard. Will they be able to get back now? They need it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Bondguard knows they cannot fight on the ground. They need to hold these walls, and it seems to me that they're pushing nicely.
Oh,
Get the
they need to
heroes
hold
on
off that
points.
mall. No, it's on. Oh, this is so close.
The trap though.
Yeah, these traps are gonna matter. Alright, Serfslayer also getting in new units. I feel like Serfslayer wanna get their cav inside the city and interrupt those units, but don't know if they can. Oh, look at the A point. Only 3 or 4 seconds left.
Bondguard is going full on mayhem. They know.
Yeah, they know what's going on now.
And the traps are hitting targets time
Yeah,
and time.
exactly. Oh, another great trap. Like, these traps from Serfslayer have been so good all game long, but they are now with so much cav left.
Yeah, definitely. I think Bondguard did what the plan was, right? Sure, it did not go in the beginning, right? They got pushed off that corner.
Absolutely.
But they regrouped, they re-pushed them out, and it's going to be very hard for Serfslayer at the moment.
I feel like Serfslayer is missing out on opportunity now. They could have gone like full cav inside the city, try and kill all of the units from Bondguard that are now walking up on the walls. Look, there's 2-3 heroes here that could have killed all of these units. Right, nice, there's at least one moving in. Alright, Serfslayer moving in as well. Oh, this is a good group of units though. Yeah. This is a good push there in the back. I'm gonna go around here.
Let's see what Bondguard is going to do about this. Fighting on 2 fronts gonna be hard.
Where is the trap going to be? It's on the back.
Just killing heroes on point, pushing them off,
Yeah,
stepping
Serfslayer.
back.
Alright, Poltergeist trying to push back. War far forward takedown. Etc. is going in the back from Serfslayer. Serfslayer looked like they had a really good stronghold there, but it's being run over by Poltergeist now. Only
Yeah,
9 alive for Serfslayer, 8 now, 12 by Poltergeist.
they got flanked in the back behind the house.
Kublai dropping down. Nice trap once again, but it's not enough. Small lead though by Serfslayer in terms of the units, but what units? That is the question. Where will they go now?
Yeah, and I mean, this has to feel bad for Bongard, right? Or Cersei, I'm sorry. They knew they had a decent push, but after that, you see at the units right now, right? A lot of cav.
Yeah.
See, they're already going to the main gate. Let's see what they're gonna do.
Exactly, yeah, it's 2.5 minutes, so anyone from Pondguard that can make it up to the walls is going to stay up there. These units will be picked off, of course. Nice pickup there. Jeff trying to get the hero kill as well. You can see it shows Kev, he's just abandoning his teammate, just saying, you go to the point, you get the kill. Alright, so good pickup from Serfslayer, getting everything that's inside, but what have they got left?
Yeah, and I mean, sure, they're getting kills on the ground, but they need to get up and they need to start pushing up.
And they do, of course. Oh, here, look at this. 3 Imperial Shields. Alright, so Pondguard don't have that many units left here. How well can they play around these Modao? Oh, nice. Alright, so Blue Halps, Modao, and Imperial Shields. That's going to be very important. Nice trap, once again.
Very nicely done. They're just wrecking the heroes now.
Yeah, alright, Bayern trying in the back. Alright, every single unit kill that they can get right now from Pondguard is going to matter. All of the arrows from Serfslayer getting back up as well. They need to get this point, they know it. 1 minute 27 for 3 seconds on the 8 points.
And they're running rampant inside of the city as well. You just see the cav going, cutting off the resupply.
This will be Pondguard's last stand, so it won't matter anymore. Ooh, take down, getting in there. God King Asura, can you get back on the wall? You're in the wrong spot. Oh, just one short sword left. There's C4 coming in. 3, 2, 1. Ace captured. Ooh. Oh, what a nail biter it is. You can see Mass Flames, he's not wasting any time. Captain from Serfslayer jumping right in there. Straight to B.
Keep that shit up.
Yep.
Only 4 heroes alive on defenders.
Oh my god, only 3 alive, like you said, and 2 of them are already at the supply. Alright, go check out units because, oh my god. This was such nobody. We wanted a close game, this is a close game.
You've got what we asked for. I mean, this is just... Pondguard need to set up on the last point. They need the time, they need to stall to get the formations. Just currently they don't have units on it.
Exactly. Good pickup. Alright, they got flames, that's going to help. They got some cataphracts still. Pine with his cataphracts. That's really good as well.
Let's see if he can buy some time, let's see what he's gonna do.
Oh, he's going to go in. I'm not sure if this is the right strat from him.
He has to buy time, right? He has to buy time for his
get
team
those kills?
Spawn.
Ooh, yeah, Bayern's cataphracts getting wiped there. He only got a couple left. About 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, 6. Serfslayer is going around. They got 6 minutes on the clock now all of a sudden. Plenty of time from them. Pondguard were just a minute away from taking this first game, and now it's looking very rough for them.
Yeah, I mean, they had all their eggs in on the wall. They lost wall, and now it's just scrambling to set up again.
Yeah, you can see that there's still some Modao left for Serfslayer as well. So even if Cav come in from Pondguard, they've got a unit to counter it. Look at Corn Berserker, Chinja, Grim, Good Story, Mask Flame, Esponia all got their Cav left. This is what they wanted to bring.
This is gonna be it, right? The close,
Ooh, there goes Pine. Yeah. Pine is down. He can now only shot call from the strategy mode until he gets back.
Yeah, definitely.
Serfslayer taking it slow now.
Like some wolves on point. They will wreck heroes if they step on point without units. Let's see. A lot of outriders I'm seeing, some A lot of Cataflex as well, still alive. Oof.
Yeah, where goes the flames? That is the big
Coming,
question.
boys.
Alright, flames to the top left. Oh, and there goes all the Hussars, all the Cataphracts. Everything is going into that corner, and we won't be able to tell who is going to win. But it looks like a lot of red here. One after one after one.
Wow.
That is a total wipe. Only 2 alive for Pond Guard, 1 alive. Serfslayer is here, and they're not here to fool around. They wanna make sure that they are the team that goes to that second place.
Oof.
Kebabs dropped the game today. Serfslayer not planning to do the same.
I mean, what can you do about that many Cataflex?
Whew.
Honestly.
Well, you can hold the A point, and they tried.
Yeah, Katas are balanced.
Oh man.
Biden with the MVP on his side.
That's good. He really tried hard, you could see it. Every single day, Pine is getting better, he's getting there. His team is getting there. But this game, Serfslayer, oh man, they grinded it out. Did you at some point feel like Serfslayer was going to lose that one? Because I certainly was.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, once they got pushed off the first time, right, they had to regroup, and I was like, okay, Pond Guard has this, you know. Surfslayers has a lot of cav. We'll have to see what they're bringing as infantry, but Pond Guard is in the better position right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just push from 2 sides. They delay them so much. Those traps they hit time and time again on the defenders.
Yeah, definitely
So
agree.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely very nicely done from Surfslayers. I think those traps were just magnificent.
Yeah, those traps at the end made such a huge difference. Like you said, we've seen a lot of games where the traps didn't hit as well, and Surfslayer made every hit count. That's for sure. And oh man, look at this. Yeah, Pond Guard really winning that first fight quite convincingly in the end, and then Surfslayer coming back, and then at the end it was also Surfslayer.
Yeah,
man. Alright, Flair start picking up the MVP. We're quickly going to go to another lobby. Make sure we go to the game too.
Yeah, that last point push, you feel bad for Pond Guard, right? They had a semi sort of setup, you know, some bikes, and then just 6 Cataflex come in, and just what can you do about it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so now it's Pond Guard on the attack. They clearly prepped that defense very well, but it just wasn't enough. Same as against plebs, like so insanely close. Oof. Oh man. Alright, this is what we were waiting for. Last match of the day. It's an absolute banger already, and we've yet to forget one more.
Definitely, you love to see it, right?
Mm-hmm. I sure do. Alright, Chevaliers and Falconetti are the bands, disabling the other ones as well. Teams loading in, making sure they can switch sides as well. There you go.
Nice.
Oh, wait.
Some people in Twitch chat were asking why Letiari are banned.
Yeah, so we've decided to disable any new unit that comes out in a season, so a whole new unit, not a remake, just when there's a whole new unit, it will be disabled for 2 weeks, and then it will come back, because it was released on this Monday 2 weeks ago. It will be allowed after this week, so you will be able to see Ratiari next week, hopefully. I know teams have been asking about it, so there's definitely some teams that want to bring it in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited to see it, because, you know, we've seen some javelins today, right? And okay, this is a tier 5 javelin. In my opinion, it's not the greatest. Their AI and aim is a little bit buggy, but still, let's see what the teams can do with it. So yeah, next week.
Yep, absolutely.
I am rewatching the stream when the moment where they push base point.
Oh yeah, good. Anything that you may have missed before?
I mean, just the amount of gap is just ridiculous.
Yep. Yes.
You would feel, you just feel bad for them, right?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't pretty, that last push, that's for sure. Alright, so interesting results at the Rustic division. We'll talk about more We'll talk more about those later. But yeah, also in chat, 90% of teams could never pull it off. Well done, absolutely. Serfslayer, like, proving that they are a team that is not to be counted out. They had a really rough start to this season, losing to Kebabs and Plebs 2-0, but they are back, and they're not here to joke around as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Just like the last point push, right? We've seen it today as well when Plebs and Argonauts are pushing. But the coordination you need to have to push all sides at the same time is just, that's where you see the real teams, the guys that are played in with each other.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the difference there. Alright, now what do you expect for this next game? Last game of the day. Pondegard attacking, Serfslayer defending. Like, Serfslayer seem to be really confident in their Cav, right? But also, of course, still taking the A without it even.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Serfslayer will commit to A. But I would think Serfslayer has this, you know? The attack is the difficult part, in my opinion. They did it wonderful. I think Bondguard will come with some strategies, hopefully, that we haven't seen already. But yeah, it's a very difficult map, and I think Serfslayer will take this win.
Alright, let's find out. We're not going to delay this any longer. Last game of the day, final match of the evening. Serfslayer in the red, no, Pondegard on the red in the attack and Serfslayer on the defense. Serfslayer just got the defense. Extremely close game. Let's see if we can get another one.
Hype.
Let's find out. Hype indeed. Spam PG or SS in chat if you think you know who's going to win. I certainly don't. So let's see if Serfslayer bring the Cav or if they also go for a full A defense. Looks like a mixed bag here for me.
Yeah, I mean, they're going for vengeance, shield maintenance, but also a lot of Cav. I mean, they're not committing too hard on the A point, but still, you know, they have the flexibility to do what they need to do.
Yeah,
I mean, I am seeing a lot of infantry on the Pondguard side.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely someone now, someone for Bracho, shield maintenance ranking, of course. A bit of Cav on Pondguard, but not as many as other teams have.
Yeah, definitely. I like seeing that, you know? They realize they know their weaknesses, they know their strengths, and they're playing to them. They're saying, yo, we can play infantry, and we're gonna win this way. And also, we've seen before, right? If you do not play infantry and the defenders defend A, it's very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. What I also like is you can see Pondguards playing three glaives. Not many teams are bringing that many glaives. Pondguard really love the heat of battle, so the damage buff. And on the opposite side, you can see a lot of pikes for Serfslayer. They've always been playing a lot of pikes since it was out. Mass Flames, Turbo Sub, Flare Star, Corn Berserker, also the muskets, of course. Bloodstory will switch to pike most likely later as well. No Mercy Pawns, just as well, I guess, and maybe OP. So a more of a medium class setup on Serfslayer compared to Pondguard here.
Yeah, but I mean, I like it, you know, the muskets that we've seen before, getting that battering ram down, making sure they cannot destroy the gate. Those are the things that buys you time, and in the end, as a defender, you need to play for time.
Yeah, especially on defense, on maps like these, we've seen it so close a couple of times now. Alchemist unit, by the way, from Corn Berserker on the defenders, so some healing will be done. Also the smoke, really efficient against ranged, of course, so
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a perfect blue unit to take as a support, but I favor Sons of Fenrir above the Alchemist. So probably depending on his leadership, because the Alchemists are quite cheap. We prefer that one unit.
Yeah, probably. And also, like, Alchemist, it's kind of hard to see really what their effect is, because your teammates don't really see it, right? They might be healing a lot. Like, they heal a lot also, by the way, if you have played them ever. But also their smoke can be really effective, but you need to take advantage of it as a team. which
Yeah,
is easier in games like these.
yeah, definitely. I mean, personally, I don't like the smoke ability because their throw arc is so weird, and it's
Yeah.
also like, sure, you're smoking the enemy team, but you're also smoking yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it also looks like as soon as it hits like something like a firefly, the smoke is going to pop
Uh,
at random places. It's sometimes a bit weird where it explodes, but for sure.
yeah, but no, but definitely, I mean, like you said, in a organized tournament like this, it has a very high value.
Hmm.
I say organized, and then they shoot themselves.
Yeah, just about to say, but yeah, what does it matter? Glaive apparently really good at taking down gates. If you didn't know, bring Glaive, destroy gates.
It used to be Maul, right? Blunt damage was okay.
Yeah, I guess Maul is nerfed for some reason.
Uh,
Alright, I love it.
but
Great, thank you guys for showing us this news thread.
and now they have Sons of Fenrir behind, and they all die.
Yeah, let's see. Alright, so let's see if they switch out their glaives. Actually, only one tower reached so far. I missed if the other one is destroyed. Almost must have been.
I don't think they pushed it because I did not see the
Yeah, looks
announcement.
like a bit of a weird delay. Alright, all glaives going inside the city. They are going hunting. Oh, flamers at the supply. If they spot them, they will be gone.
Oh,
Alright, takedown is down though. Corn Berserker picking that up. Alright, those shield mains
so
protecting
good.
them really well. Ooh, one more. 2, 3. Yeah, there they go. Where are the flamers though? Yep, flamers
They all
down.
left.
Flamers down. Key pickup here from Pondguard. Nice, well done.
Very nicely done. Like
And
just
also,
steady into it, gate down, going
yeah,
in. We'll see what we get.
absolutely. Also, 4 Zikali militia were killed in the process. Ooh, good pickup from Pondguard there, doing what Serfslayer has done to so many teams, really playing it aggressively.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm curious to see how Serfslayers will adapt to that, right? Because they definitely had a plan with those flamers. They were needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they're missing that, so we have to see how it goes now.
Yep. Absolutely. Alright, looks like Pondguard is going to copy what Serfslayer did. Oh, someone jumping down.
They are
Oh,
jumping
yeah, they
down.
were going. Yeah, they're going for those alchemists. Shenji. Well, Kublai went down though. I don't think he got too many there.
Alright.
Yeah, he got 2 from Payan.
Word.
Yeah, I guess.
Eh,
My life for 2 Shenji.
it depends. We'll see how it goes. Because
Exactly.
if your timer gets too long and you're out of the game for 75 seconds, feels bad.
Yeah, it is. It is. All right, I am Sean, being brave with his Imperial Shield, standing in front of the tower there.
Yeah,
Beepo.
I mean, they're giving Bondguard a lot of space though to move in.
Yeah, that is nice. Beepo is making sure that these Zikali and Shenji are not safe there. Picking them off one by one.
Oh, Bondguard rotating fast.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Big rotation here.
Units are
How
slow though.
quick can that be? Alright, Turbo Stop. Yeah, Turbo Stop, he only had the cap, so he had to go out and try and do something. His flamers were killed in the process. Oh, nice. Alright, Serfslayer ready?
Should just continue running to the other siege towers.
I didn't expect Serfslayer to want to defend this, so I'm very surprised that they want to try this out. They must have been practicing the strategy a lot as well.
Yeah, and they're running still. They have a lot of cav, so it's like they're committing a lot of their units to
Yeah.
this. And once it goes bad, oof.
Alright, yeah, so okay, so Pondguard maybe. Alright, so this unit of cap is going to go down. So this means that Turbo Stop is not going to have any unit left, most likely, if it's this unit. Still has 1 left, right?
Okay, let's see what Bongard does.
Yeah.
Will they push down? Will they just set up on the stairs?
As we can see, there's still 5 units from Pondguard sitting inside that gate. So they might be trying to create a flank with those 5. Yeah, they're moving.
This was strange. You just see it, right? Instantly, everyone is moving.
My question now is, will Serfslayer decide to like abandon A Or do they still want to hold?
What would you do then?
I would just go back. I
Because,
mean, they have the calf, right?
yeah, definitely. And you
And
bought a lot of time.
if okay, they got the supply back, but now they need to find the angles. They are not currently really well like. Alright, Bondegard has got the flank on them, being on the left side. So the team that is going to come in from behind will win out in the end most of the time. So you can see Serfslayer trying to get behind with 2 of their pikes on the far left. Nice trap there. Getting a couple. Alright. Alright, Bondegard's going to engage, yeah. They can't use the traps here, so they're gonna have to watch out.
Serfslayers.
Yeah, so slipping really aggressively into that tower. There comes the flank.
They're in the back, let's go.
Yes, the Kali militia getting killed by Xedros there.
Fire engines in the back, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, that is gonna hurt. Shieldman is countering them though. We'll find out who's going to win. Bondegard is holding so far in the siege tower. Good trap. Yeah, Bondegard, alright, Bondegard made it through on this one. Serfslayer is winning at the stairs though. Yeah, Pines Shenji are down, Flare Star is down. And this is just the unit of Modao. This will get wiped by Bondegard. From Bondegard, I should say. Serfslayer taking the win here. Now, how quick can they reset? That's the question.
Very nicely done. I mean, fighting on 3 different sides at the same time. The guys flanking from a back supply, all the way around with his vengeance, straight onto the back line.
Absolutely. And you can see Blood Story here, taking a peek, trying to get some SKW though.
He's trying so hard.
Yep. Yeah, Serfslayer is definitely trying to play very aggressive with the Cav. Some of their players, again, and you can see it at the bottom there, Turbo Sub only having 18 of his Hussars left. That's all of them, of course, but it's the only unit he has, so fighting on the wall is not that effective for him, unless he can find a play.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, like, once they're dropping some heroes, you know, and they're resupplying, he can go out, he can get his Cav in.
Yeah. Alright, trap on the gate, because Serfslayer is excelling out right now with the Cav that they have. That's going to be a good hit. Yeah, a good intercept there. It's only Outriders though. Bondegard are going to take A. Serfslayer has switched to some Cav. They just baiting Bondegard a little bit here.
They're gonna drop some heroes.
Yep, exactly. This is going to be a good pick. If Bondegard can get a couple kills here, B might be quite easy to take because they are full reset. They've got all the units that they want.
Bondegard coming to the gate as well.
Serfslayer, 3 heroes down right now. Ooh, nice Cataphract charge there, picking up the Imperial Shields. From I Am Shan, he's going to run back to the supply. If Bondegard... Ooh, here comes the counter charge though. Were the Modao set up? That is the question here. Another Winged Hussars, that's just too much Cav. Yeah, they should have Cav and Pipo though with the range. Also Pine with the Zicalians. Lots of Zicalian Militia and Shenji here. Modao still holding strong. Cataphracts coming in from the side there. Being stopped by a nice spike advance. Half of it is going on the staircase, but the rest of it is taking it up.
Shenji's on top of the staircase.
Yeah, that's really
shooting.
Yeah, really doing really good damage there. Interrupting the supply. You can see Serfslayer only with the heroes right now. Bondegard still got the units. Those Modao are going to move up. Also the Imperial Pikes. Steelman is following behind. Ooh, nice. 1 unit of Cataphract still. Or is it? Oh, it's Hussars there. But still, C4 with his Modaos. Yeah, he's going to this side otherwise. Or is he? Ooh, OP. Serfslayer still trying to hold this supply.
This looks a lot like we've seen what we've seen from Slavs, right?
Yeah, Slavs and Beaches. I'm getting the same feelings right now. And also from Odin's and Kebabs.
Yeah, it did not end well for Slavs, so
in the end it didn't, but this fight goes to Serfslayer. Alright, let's check out the heroes and the units, Coms.
I mean, Bondegard, lots of Cav, you know, they've spent their infantry and now it's Cav time, they're coming in. But you see from Serfslayers a lot of infantry, some flamers, some Imperial Pike, but also the Cav getting ready to go in. But I also see a lot of that units. I mean, I feel like Serfslayers are losing out a bit to quality, you know? They have a lot of blues left, some purples, but some people are also like half blues and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's gonna be close as according to units, but the time is running out, so it's gonna be a
Yeah,
difficult one for Podguard.
exactly. It will be one good push here. We can see some players trying to suicide for specialist units here.
Yeah, smoke going out,
Yeah. Right.
healing up.
Right. I feel like Pongar is going to make two pushes here. One is going to be to the left, one is going through the center because they need to get to that B point.
Yeah, turbo on the top walls, trying to go for the backline.
Yep, there we go. Nice pickup there from Serfslayer getting the Scully mission on the staircase. Here comes the Cav. There are some blue helps though from Pond Guard. The left is winning for Serfslayer, right is winning for Pond Guard. They have to clash somewhere.
Look how beautiful.
This is going to be a mess of a fight. I'm starting to see more and more blue. Still all heroes alive. Units are dropping left and right. Pond Guard is capping.
So they need to rotate quickly.
Yeah, they're wiping the gate right now. If they can come in from behind, there's only Cav from Pond Guard right now. They don't have the Modao that they used to have before.
Yeah, but all their Cav charges are spent.
Yeah, it's only 1 minute now. I feel like even without the units, Serfslayer should be able to hold this with just the heroes. We're going to zoom in as well.
I mean, this is just deathmatch, right?
Yeah, this is just hero to hero now.
And here is where the pike shines, right?
There is Ponya really down.
High damage.
And this is, ooh, nice Cataphracts there. Yeah, that's going to decide it there. Imperial Shield still on the point as well. You won't be able to get those quickly enough. Unless you bring in another unit of Cav from Pond Guard. It's not going to be there. C4 taking out, yeah, the pikes in the end really made a difference there for Serfslayer. Of course, all the things did in the matches as well, but GG Serfslayer.
GG.
That was another good one, comms that we got there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Serfslayer really performed nice rotations, nice flanks. You know, you just love to see it, right? Turbo on top of the wall, ready to jump down on the backline to kill those Shenchis and Ball Boys.
Mm-hmm. Oof. That's Flames almost getting them off one. Well, damn. That was a great match to see Serfslayer taking the win 2-0. Serfslayer now set themselves up quite well to finish second at the end of the season. Welcomes. I enjoyed this one.
I enjoyed it as well. Perfect way to close the match today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Alright, I'm gonna have you go over the standings here, or over the players, while I fill in the scores, and then I'll be back.
Yeah. I mean, just look at Korn, right? 8-0, 18, 86 unit kills. I don't know what that guy did, but 8 kills, that's just... Oof. Flare Star again, second. Last game he was MVP, now he's second, 120 unit kills. In this meta, with all the Cav and all the specialist units that they're using, 120 unit kills, it's insane. Like 1,300 unit score, he's killing the right units. I mean, I'm impressed by Serfslayers. I'm impressed with how they rotated, how they adapted, and it's just beautiful to see the synergy in that team.
Absolutely.
I mean, just Tinjev as well, right? 7-16.
Yeah, he's getting back there. Like, I believe he's missed a couple of games this season because he was second in most hero kills last season with only like a couple heroes killed between him and Anya. But he's definitely getting back in there for sure. On the other side, Pipo doing quite well. And also Yada getting FP for Pond Guard here.
Yeah, I mean, their score does not, like, it's not bad, their score, right?
Yeah.
Sure, in the bottom you have like a couple with 0 kills, but like longsword, poleaxe doesn't matter. And their unit kills are high, their unit scores are high, it's just...
Yeah, it was just really close.
Yeah, it was really close, it was really close.
Yeah, and it was such a strategic match as well. You could see the teams really knew what they were up against. I mean, Serfslayer actually defending A for quite a long time, and then also abandoning it at the point where they felt they couldn't hold it anymore. I mentioned it at one point where I thought, all right, maybe they will retreat right now because Bondguard had a good rotation, getting the supply inside and then also going on the wall. But then Serfslayer found a way to get another flank going. Really good fights here that we saw in our last match of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Alright, gonna find someone to talk. Alright, we're gonna have Esponia joining us again, that'll be good.
I will be going then.
Alright, thank you, Cons, for joining me.
Thanks for
It
having
was a lot of fun. I hope to see you next week again, maybe. We'll
Maybe.
find out. Alright, see ya.
Bye-bye.
Alright, I'm gonna get Esponia in here quickly, guys. Just wait for him a little bit. Goodbye, Combs. Let's see. Yo, Esponia.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, sure. Always welcome. That was an amazing match.
Yeah, thank you. I think our tech was not as clean as we wanted it to be, but I think the second fight was like really close when they resupplied and we were just too slow. But yeah, I mean we came out on top, and I think that's what matters in the end, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and like both games were extremely close. So we really enjoyed both matches. And can you just take me through what happened? Maybe start with that last game because you just got out of it. Because Bondguard were trying the same, or no, or the other way around. You guys were trying the same approach as Bondguard had in the first match. But then Bondguard went inside the city and went back on the wall. What were your comms like at that point?
I mean, we had this situation in fights before this, so we kind of knew what we wanted to do in this situation. So we had one of our groups set up on the stair and the other one on A, on the wall, so that we could just sandwich them, which I think worked pretty fine. I think the fight group lost in the end, but the stairs won so heavily that we just could wipe the rest of the wall fight as well. And after that, we just didn't have enough units to defend ward properly, so it wasn't worth taking a fight, even though it was, I think, 2 minutes left on the clock. And that's why we decided to go down and just fight in the city instead of wasting units on A.
Yeah, sounds fair enough, I gotta say. And then going to the first match, because that one was extremely close. You guys even had to go inside the city with Cav at one point because you didn't have the infantry setup anymore in that final push. Did you at what point in the game did you realize that Bondguard had only units for that A point?
I mean, you have to expect this on this map, especially considering what happened last season when we fought No Beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected this, but yeah, I mean, if we had one guy going on A instead of staying on the stairs, so we had 3 people capping A, it would have been fine. But I mean, that's just a small miscommunication. It worked out in the end, and I think that's what matters. Next time we will have to work on this, definitely, but we got a bit lucky there, I think.
Well, not extremely lucky. I mean, you guys played it really well, so kudos to you guys. I'm just trying to check out here your score: 3-0, 21, 25 in the last game at 21 assists this time. Pretty good score, I would say. Even though it's at the bottom. Last time you mentioned like your role was a bit different because of all the cav, but now it seems to be back to the role you're used to, I guess. What is your role within the team?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. What's my what?
What is your role within the team?
Oh, my role?
Yeah.
I'm just basically a tank, right? So I go in, I break formations, I go for the backline usually. I try to get as many people on me as possible so that the other player that actually do damage can do their job freely and restrict the range for as long as possible to take off as much damage from our own units. And yeah, that's basically it. Just CC a lot and tank.
Well, you seem to be doing a good job at it, also especially today. Uh, what do you feel about Pond Guard? Because you guys have been playing them, well, forever, I would say, right?
Yeah.
How do you look at their current season? They've been having a rough start, of course, also a very rough season last season. So how do you look at them right now?
So personally, I really like them a lot. Not just as players, but also like as people. I think they are very, very nice, very respectful all the time. So I have nothing bad to say about them, especially Pine is a great guy. Um, I think they definitely got better compared to last season. I think you can see that Pine is back, and that plays a huge role in that as well. I would like to see them gaining back their strength like they had like a couple of seasons ago. I mean, they got second in the second CBL, I believe it was, and like they are definitely one of the better teams right now. But they're just missing something right now.
Yeah.
I hope they can get back to old strength.
Yeah, I definitely hope so as well. It'd be great to have you and Plebs and no Pond Guard and then also probably no Beaches and all fighting for that first place again. You can see my screen probably. All the results are updated. You guys are now sitting in second place with 12 points.
Yeah.
So you're set up quite well for securing second place because you're playing Argonautas next week. If you win that match, then you're guaranteeing that second place. How do you feel about that result looking back at the season?
It's surprising given the start that we had. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would have not thought that we finish or we can get second this time, but somehow it worked out, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, it's surprisingly that. I was also surprised that you were still able to get there, but you guys did really well on the second half of the season apparently.
Exactly. That Liaos are so broken, and that's why we won that match against No Beaches.
Yeah.
And they are rightfully banned, definitely. Like, there's no other unit as OP as them and broken. I'm glad that they are banned, definitely.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
gives a lot more variety to the game if they
Yeah.
are not there.
Yeah, definitely true. And yeah, really sad to see now and the end of the season. I guess that you guys actually dropped 2 games at the start. Well, dropped. I mean, it was Kebabs and Plebs, so really good teams, of course. But if not for those games, you would have been able to contest first place now at the last seasonal round. But going back to the meta, then with Ilaus absolutely broken. Good thing they're not in the game right now for the tournament at least. Um, I don't know if you've catched any of the matches, but we had very different metas throughout the whole evening. Do you enjoy the competitive meta that we have right now in this round?
I think Varangians and Shieldmains are so much fun to play. Like, especially as a hero, you can do a lot. And yeah, it's always fun to watch.
Yep, especially if you're on the delivering end. And it also goes well with the heavy classes, right? So you must be pretty happy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always good. All right. Anything else you would like to add before I'm going to the Rustic division?
Not that I can think of, to be honest. I just all I have to say is that tonight was a good fight, and yeah, thanks for Pontgat for the great match tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Kudos to them. And thank you as well, Espana, for joining us again. It's been pretty amazing. I can see that guys in chat are voting for president for you. So I hope to see you again next time.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
All right, good.
See you.
See you. Bye bye.